Hey guys, Halloween is right around the corner and I just scored a backseat ride in an F-15D. It's kind of weird though. The guy who gave me the pass was standing at the entrance of a graveyard and didn't look anything like an Air Force officer. In fact, he was wearing all black and had a face paler than the moon. Also, he mentioned something about my time to cross over or something. Pfft, okay. Well, let's get to it. Yeah, that quick climb to 15,000 feet was pretty awesome, but you still haven't told me your name or where we're going. Hello? Oh, fuck. Hi. I didn't know the Air Force was hiring Doolahans these days. Not that I have a problem with you guys. Some of my best friends are post-mortem Americans. Well, I've got some stories you might be interested in. They're pretty spooky. So last year, I covered a few stories my dad told me about weird stuff happening to personnel at various bases. I've dug up a few more from whispers I've heard in my travels and, of course, clickbaity articles online. Recently, I took a trip to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio with human Anglophile and YouTube powerhouse Brandon F.
Hi.
I find it's one of the only good reasons to go to Ohio, but what raised an eyebrow is how much supposed supernatural stuff goes on there. If you believe in that kind of thing. World War II, the most destructive conflict in human history, saw terror across the world and in the air. Some believe some of the terror lingers on some of the aircraft on display at the Air Force Museum. Rattles and clanks are often heard by museum staff and the B-24 Liberator's strawberry bitch. What? It's part of the name. You don't have to censor me for that. Fine. Some even claim to see shadows or lights moving about the bomber, as though crew members are still attached to the aircraft. What's eerie is that a crew member of Strawberry Bitch was killed during bombing raids in World War II. Flight engineer Staff Sergeant Ralph Krall was killed on a mission to strike targets in Bucharest on April 4, 1944. Of course, the circumstances of his death aren't penned in public record, but we do know that he was buried in Italy. Could his spirit still be in Strawberry Beach, keeping watch over the bomber he served as flight engineer on? Speaking of B-24s, on display in the same building at the museum, you'll find parts from the lost Lady Be Good. Lady Be Good was a B-24D much like Strawberry Beach, which was also deployed to North Africa as part of the 376 bomb group. Her fate is even more grim than her intact sister. Due to a navigation error following a night mission, Lady ran out of fuel after overshooting her base near Benghazi. The crew survived the bailout, however they faced untold suffering over the next several days in the Sahara Desert. It wasn't until 1960 that their remains were found via an Air Force investigation. Lady Be Good herself was discovered in 1958 by British oil surveyors. Despite being in the desert for 15 years, she was in remarkable condition. The radio still functioned, the machine guns still fired, and it was all preserved thanks to the desert's dry climate and stable temperatures. Some parts on the aircraft were salvaged for use on other planes. However, some of these aircraft developed unforeseen problems. A C-54, which had a few transmitters from Lady Be Good installed, had engine issues and had to throw cargo over to land safely on a flight. Even worse, an Army DHC-3 Otter with an armrest from the bomber was lost over the Gulf of Sidra. Very few parts of the aircraft were recovered after the crash, but one was the armrest. Coincidence? Most likely. But there's a bit more to it. Even recently, museum staff have reported parts of Lady Be Good's display being rearranged. Parts sometimes have moved during the night with no clear cause in sight. Some shifty stuff there, fellas. In the next building over, you have a pitch-black CH-3E helicopter nicknamed Black Mariah. As part of Operation Pony Express, the black helicopter was used to transport indigenous soldiers in and out of Laos and North Vietnam. The unmarked helicopter was flown by Air Force crews lacking any patches or unit indicators. Now, obviously, flying into enemy territory is a dangerous task, let alone during the Vietnam War, with air defenses ranging from modern SA-2 missiles all the way to a peasant with a rifle. While much of Black Mariah's operations are still shrouded in mystery, she has numerous bullet holes and other signs of battle damage. Eerily, museum staff and visitors alike hear rustling and voices from within the helicopter. What's scary is that, due to the clandestine operations of the helicopter, we'll never know how many died inside her in the flurry of combat. Less than a mile from the Air Force Museum itself, you have Wright Patterson Air Force Base. A base long rumored to house less than terrestrial technology in its infamous Hangar 18. And no, we're not talking about the Megadeth song. As the legend goes, wreckage from the Roswell UFO crash was taken there for storage and further experimentation in what was dubbed the Blue Room. Of course, there's not much actual corroboration to the legend. In fact, Hangar 18 doesn't even exist. Now, there is a Building 18 that tested engine components, so some UFO nuts probably put two and two together. Wright Pat was home to alien technology of a different sort, however. Almost spookier, it was home to captured Japanese aircraft in World War II and eventually a MiG-15 which was tested and evaluated. Even today, Wright-Patterson is home to NASIC, the National Air and Space Intel Center. I've got a whole video in the works covering that stuff, so keep your eyes open for that. These are the guys who study enemy air threats, and even now, I'm sure their office holds darker secrets than any extraterrestrial invader could provide. That being said, if we ever did encounter an alien UFO threat, these would be the guys studying them, just as they do our Earth-based foes. So there we have it. Ohio has some shifty stuff going on in its Air Force Museum, and again, I do urge you guys to visit the museum if you get the chance. It really is a gem and worth the price of admission. Oh, the price of admission? It's free given it's a nationally owned museum. They're always looking to take donations though, should you want to support them. Once again, my loving patrons and YouTube members help keep me doing this kind of thing. I really appreciate the support. If you're interested in more aviation history, why don't you just hit that little subscribe button? You won't regret it. So anyway, where are we going? We're definitely not going to Ohio. We're going somewhere worse than Ohio. We're going to New Jersey. Sayonara, sucker. He's gone? Yo, did I just beat death? Dumbass didn't even curse his ejection seat. I love this month. October kicks ass, just like I kicked your ass, Mr. Spooky. Maybe I should become a ghost hunter. Death, you've got nothing. I threw diamonds at the strip club beneath the Great Pyramids, man. You ain't got shit on me. Yo! Halloween, Halloween, Halloween! Halloween hams and hip-hop scams. Really quaint jams and trip